Welcome back to the MSMB Networks Week in Review. My name is Christopher, and every week we're bringing you the latest news which affects your digital world. This week there were a lot of headlines to sort through, but we picked the two most important court cases which are fundamentally going to change the way you do business and interact online. First, Google is being sued yet again for violating your privacy, and second, the Supreme Court of the United States is going to determine whether or not you can resell your stuff. Stick around. A few weeks ago, we talked about why companies might not want to use Google for their Gmail service, for Google Docs, etc., citing privacy concerns. Well, recently, Google has found themselves in court again because a group has actually read their terms and conditions and really didn't like what they found. In the terms and conditions, as we previously discussed, Google explicitly gives themselves the right to read your emails, to read your documents, to sell that information to advertisers, and then to send you targeted ads based on what they found. Well, this group was discovering not only was Google scanning the emails that they sent through Gmail, that they created right there on Google's site, but they were also reading the emails that came in from outside sources, say Yahoo or MSN or other companies. And they felt this was an even bigger privacy violation because these emails didn't start or didn't have any relevance to Google services. Something that people often forget, however, is that Google, like Facebook and other companies who let you use their services for quote-unquote free, they're in the business of information, and every time you send an email, you update your calendar, you update your status on Facebook, they get more information that they can sell to advertisers or use for their own metrics. Something that's really important to remember is every time they update their terms and conditions, every time you have to click that little button that says I agree to this to keep using those services, you're actually giving away more and more of your privacy. Now, there are a lot of other opportunities for people to use the web. There are plenty of free email providers, there are plenty of free calendars out there, and we're not saying that you have to go away from Google or you have to use one service over another. But it's something to consider, especially in the corporate sector where you're giving up a lot of personal information, whether it be about your clients, about your employees, or about your projects, and getting very little in return. It seems almost every time I turn on the camera, I end up talking about the rights of ownership. The idea of if you buy a CD, do you own the right to listen to that music? Or do you just buy the flimsy plastic case? Or do you just rent the whole thing from somebody else? The reason I keep talking about this is because there are headlines every week talking about new laws being passed and court cases being decided which fundamentally affect the way we as consumers interact with the providers of goods and services. One such case has made it all the way to the United States Supreme Court and has far-reaching implications depending on the decision. The reason it's such a big deal is because it affects the First Sale Doctrine. The First Sale Doctrine has been a long-standing tradition in American commerce that says if you as a consumer buy a product, you are not bound by the agreements made between the distributor and the store you purchased it at. If you buy, say, a Honda Civic, 5 years later you decide to sell it, neither Honda nor the dealership you bought it from are allowed to have any say in it because it's your car. If you find a buyer wanting to purchase it for whatever cost, great, it's yours to sell or not at your decision. The people wanting to change the interpretation of the First Sale Doctrine very much point to the international cloud that is copyright law, and the fact that every country has their own copyright laws, and the fact that everything is just so convoluted when dealing with international business. The reason this is relevant is because almost every single product you purchase has components made outside the United States. The companies that are pushing forward this case say because things are so convoluted, you actually don't have the First Sale Doctrine rights because the rights of First Sale are so caught up in so many other countries, meaning you can't resell the stuff that you purchased. Think of that. I buy a Honda Civic, 5 years from now I decide to sell it, but I get a letter from Honda saying, no, we don't like the people you're selling it to. If the First Sale Doctrine is amended, reinterpreted, or adjusted, that might be a real possibility. I wouldn't have rights to sell my gear, my car, my CDs, my anything, because that right was never given to me, or I should say it was taken away if this court case is decided one way. As you can imagine, this is a fundamental change in the way Americans can do business if the court case is decided in their favor. Imagine eBay would go out of business because you're not allowed to sell anything that came from outside the country or has parts from outside the country. All of those companies wanting to buy your old iPhones or those computer recycling places that take your old monitors wouldn't be able to function because those pieces of equipment are not yours to give anymore. As I said, I feel very strongly about this because I believe if I purchase an item, it's mine, and I should be able to do pretty much whatever I want with it. These kind of laws and these kind of court cases are fundamentally changing the way all of us are able to interact with the things we've purchased. And I think it's something that is absolutely newsworthy and absolutely worth paying attention to. That about wraps up this week in review. As always, my name's Christopher for MSMB Networks, where we bring you the latest news stories which affect your digital world. We've included links to these stories and a few others down below, and would love to hear your comments and questions in the comments box. Please feel free to click the like or subscribe buttons because every week we're bringing you new news stories, commentary, and answering your questions. We'll see you next time. We are MSMB Networks, managing systems for managing business. Like us on Facebook, join us on Twitter, and of course, subscribe to this, our new YouTube channel. Thanks for watching.